All right, question 91. Please use your flowchart to help you with this. We've learned lots of different ways to solve triangles and solve for sides and angles and all of those things. So if you need help finding out how to solve it, look at your flowchart. Your flowchart tells you everything you need to know. So for this one, your flowchart says, do we have a right triangle? Yes, we do. Next thing we have to decide is if we are looking for sides or if we're looking for angles. Since x is on the side, we're looking for the side. The next thing says, do we have one side or do we have two sides that we know the numbers for? And we only have one side, so that means we're going to use our basic trig function. So what basic trig function for this 42-degree angle is going to use this and that? Remember SOHCAHTOA, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So we are going to use cosine. So the cosine of 42 degrees is going to equal the adjacent over the hypotenuse, or x over 10. Put that over 1 and solve. First thing we have to do is put cosine of 42 into our calculator, and you should get 0.74. If you did not get 0.74, if you got something like negative 0.3999, that means your calculator is not in the right mode. So don't forget, hit mode, and then scroll down 3 times and go to degree. So make sure you get an answer of 0.74. Now we can cross multiply. 1 times x is x, and 10 times 0.74 is going to give us 7.4. And that will be my answer for that one. Question B. If we've got two sides, and we're looking for that one, two sides and an angle, and actually the thing here is we do know more angles. We know 2 angles since these are equal. We also know that the 2 angles are equal. So we have 2 sides and 2 angles, so let's set up law of sines. So I'll have the sine of 25 over x. And I want to do the sine of that over 15. So because I've got these 2 angles, I've got 2 angles, I can find the third using triangle sum theorem. 180 minus 25 is going to give me 130 degrees. So sine of 130 over 15. First step is to put sine of 25 and sine of 130 into the calculator. So the sine of 25 is going to be 0.42. The sine of 130 is 0.77. We have 0.42 over x is equal to 0.77 over 15. Cross multiply is my next step. So x times 0.77 is 0.77x. And then we have to do 15 times 0.42. Which is 6.3. And the last step is to divide by whatever's in front of the x. So we're going to divide by 0.77. And I'll get x is about 8.18. And the last triangle. So if we look at our flowchart, we have a right triangle. Are we missing a side or an angle? We're missing an angle, since that's what we're looking for, theta. And then we need to figure out which one we're going to do. If it's triangle sum theorem or arc trig function, and this is going to be arc trig function. What trig function is it going to be? It'll be sine, since we're looking at the opposites and we're looking at the hypotenuse. So we have sine of theta. So sine of theta is equal to 10 over 18. Go ahead, sine over theta of 1. We can cross multiply here. When we cross multiply, we're going to get 18 times the sine of theta is equal to 10 times 1. Divide by what's in front of sine of theta, divide by 18, divide by 18. And we'll get sine of theta is equal to 0.56. And theta is going to equal arcsine of 0.56. And theta is going to be approximately 34.06 degrees. 34.06 degrees. And question 92. So we're going to try and get this one done too before the 10-minute marker. So if we've got a 90-degree angle and a 10-degree angle, how are we going to find out what this angle, let's call that y, is? And that would be 180 minus 90 minus 10 is going to equal y. So when I plug that into my calculator, I'm going to get y equals 80. So I know this has to be 80 degrees. And if these two make up a line, they're supplementary. So then I have to do 180 minus 80, and that will give me x. And that would be 100 degrees. So x is going to equal 100 degrees. Question B. We need to find out what x is. What's my relationship between these two angles? They are corresponding, and corresponding angles are congruent. So this is going to be 110 degrees. When we look at these two, they make up a line. So they are supplementary. So in order to find out what, we'll call this y, in order to find out what y is right there, we've got to do 180 minus 140. It's going to equal y, which means 40 equals y. So then we have 110, 40 degrees, and x. So we need to use triangle sum theorem. So x is going to equal 180 minus 110 minus 40. So then x equals 30. And the last one. What's my relationship between these two since these two lines are parallel? They're our same position. This is the bottom right. This is the bottom right. So corresponding angles are congruent. So we just set them equal to each other. 3x plus 7 is equal to x plus 35. And solve for x. So subtract an x on both sides. 2x plus 7 equals 35. Subtract 7. 2x equals 28. Divided by 2, x equals 14. So you have x equals 14 in that last problem. All right, if you got through all of these videos, all 3 pages today, go ahead and take a break, and we'll continue with the last 2 pages tomorrow.